Hi, it's Sandy Parker, and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. Today we're going to be making a card with a raised focal image. I saw this on another station. It might have been Tina Zwick. She's a Stampin' Up rep, and I'm not sure of that, but I think that's who it was. Of course, I'm going to put my own spin on it. I hope you'll stay tuned. So the first thing that we're going to do on this card is you're going to need a stamp block, and you're going to need two coordinating colors. I'm going to use in the same color family, but you can use any kind of colors that you want. It doesn't have to be from the same color family. I'm choosing to do that because I thought it would be kind of interesting looking. It might not be. Trust me, it might be a horrible mess. So I'm going to be using Crumb Cake and Tip Top Taupe. Neither one are probably still alive in the Stampin' Up family, but we're going with it. And I'm going to use a 2.5-inch square acrylic block, and then I'm using the stitch die that's the same size. And in my set of stitch dies, it's the second largest. So depending on whose set, you want to just measure it or do what I'm doing and just put it over the top like that. I practice with this, and here's what I will tell you. You really want a juicy ink pad for this to work well, and I mean juicy. It can't be kind of juicy. It has to be seriously juicy. And you're going to, I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm working on scrap paper so that I can make sure I do a good job of this. I'm using my lighter of the two inks first. Then I'm going to use my darker ink second, so in case I got a little bit of this on the top half where I stamped with this one, it won't ruin the stamp pad because it's a darker color than that. Okay, then I'm going to do the same thing. Ooh, it's stuck to it. You want to make sure you get it really super wet. Once you've done that, I'm going to close those up so I don't end up with it on me. You're going to take a spray bottle, and this is important. You want to spray from kind of far away, but you want to really make sure the whole thing is wet. And I found I had better luck if I kind of moved the inks around just a little bit, because otherwise it doesn't cover the whole surface. And then I move it back again to make sure that the whole thing isn't freaking me out, and then you push as hard as you can, and that's why I have this pad underneath, because it gives me cushion to really push on. And of course mine aren't distinctive enough, and so the color difference isn't, as I was saying, it wasn't distinctive enough, so I'm gonna put a little bit of old paper on my stamp block. And this is when I figured out the whole it's not juicy enough system. When I stamped this on there, it wasn't as wet as it needed to be, so I didn't end up getting the kind of response I wanted. I'm going to do this again on the bottom just because I want a little bit of green to it. I'm going to try and hit the same exact spot if I can, and then push again. I like this. It's odd looking, but I like it, so I'm going to dry it with my heat tool. I wanted it to look kind of earthy, and this has to be dry before you cut it out, because if it's not, you're going to end up not cutting the paper the way you want it to. So I'm going to stop the camera and finish drying this, cut it out, and then I'll come back and we'll go on to our next step. So I put some tear tape on the back of my pattern. You don't want, if you're putting fun foam, sorry, these are fun foam pieces that I've cut, you don't want them to be long enough that you can see them on the edges, and both of my ends are a little too long, so we're going to just cut them down just a little bit. And you want to have them far enough away from the edge that you don't see it underneath. And let me see how much I need to cut off of this piece. Just a little bit, I guess. Stick these pieces in. If I have some tear tape, we'll see if it falls out. So that's what my piece looks like that we're not going to do anything to yet. This is what I cut it out of. And now I'm going to take This is an old friendship. It's the word friend, and it's a definition of it. I'm just trying to see. This is the top, and it's a very, very old stamp. It's not going to be something that you're going to really see that much of in the background. I just wanted to have something that kind of grounded the white, because the white is so bold. I don't really dig white anything, so I'm going to put it on. Not only am I going to put it on my card front that I just played with, and we get a piece of scrap paper to put over it, because you're going to get a big mess in your hands if you don't. So you're going to lay this pretty much anywhere, because you're not going to be able to read the word friend, but I'm going to kind of put it right like that, and then you're going to put a piece of scrap paper over it, and then you're just going to rub it. This is like creating your own background paper. That's exactly what it is, actually. So then we're going to snap that off. And if you can see, I missed the very top. So what I think I'm going to do is put this right here. And then I'm just going to put that on the word friend. And rub that piece very, very gently, so we're sure the whole thing has words on it. You can't really see the problematic part of it. So there is that part. Next up, I'm going to close up that ink, because you know I'll end up with it on me. The next part is I have this fern stamp. I really like it. I'm not sure. It says CE 178585391. I don't know who makes it. On this side it says Rubber Stampede. I don't know if that's the name of the company or not. A2490E, in case you wondered. And I'm going to use this Olive Grove ink pad, if it looks inky enough. Doesn't look very inky to me. I like it to look wetter than that, so I'm going to get another ink and just kind of tap that on too. I'm going to use some Always Artichoke, because I like that color. I think it's a strong Stampin' Up color. There you go. Hopefully now it's inky enough. I probably shouldn't have done that, putting the foam pieces on the back, but it's too late now, folks. So I think what I'm going to do is put a little bit of foam behind this piece too. Hey, there's always a way to fix anything I do wrong, right? And I ran my washi tape over my clothes so it's not too sticky. That's a secret in case you didn't know that. And then I'm going to have to ink that again, because it's probably dried in the meantime. More Always Artichoke. This stamp, I'm going to stamp on an angle like that. Oh, how lovely. I think I'm going to put 3 of those on. What do you think about that? We're going with it. Although this piece, or this stamped image, I don't think is even going to get anywhere near there, but in case it does, move that down a little bit. I usually wiggle mine back and forth just a little bit when you have these really deeply etched red rubber stamps. They're so nice. And then the last one I'm going to put on an angle. Next up, we're going to take our adhesive. The best way to do tear tape to take the backing off is to use something like a pokey tool or the ends of your scissors to get it started. It just seems to come off easier. Okay, so this is the piece we're going to layer it on. There's that piece, and then we have this piece. This is the piece we're going to pop up, because this is the raised focal point. that we talked about in the beginning. And I'm also going to put some wet glue on this because Fun Foam sometimes does not like to stick to anything. So it's easier for me if I put a little wet glue and a little tape runner on it. More than I wanted, but it'll stick for sure this time, right? And then we're going to make sure that it's lined up with our other pieces like that. I think I might trim this down just a little bit. And if you have one of these guillotine trimmers, it works really well for things like this, because you can just take off little bits if you need to, like that. And then I'm going to put my sentiment up in this section. It's this set from My Creative Times called Many Greetings. I've been really liking this lately because it has an inside and an outside message. In this one it says, hold tight to memories for comfort, and on the inside it says, with deepest sympathy. My good friend lost her mother a couple days ago, and I'd like to send her a card. Okay. I'm just going to let it sit there for a while. And then we got to glue it to the base that I lost. So let me find my base and I'll be right back. Where I could lose something in that amount of time, I don't know. I have my base cut. My base is 5.5 inches tall by 4.25 inches wide, and I did put some tear tape on the back of this so that we would get a nice impression. Man, I'm wondering if I should put some, before I push that down all the way, I'm going to put some twine. It's called linen thread, but to me it looks a lot like twine. So I think I'm going to go around my card a few times with this and then tie a knot on the front, because it's really, it looks really, what's the word? It looks really natural, kind of like grassy. Okay, so this is my third time of going around the card, and like I said, I'm just going to do a knot. I think a knot looks better for something like this. And trim the edges of it. And then on the inside of our card, we're going to stamp the other sentiment. Same ink. Okay. And on the back, of course, we're going to put our big stamp. Made for You by Sandy Parker. And then we're going to decorate our envelope real quickly. I have a peg stamp that's a fern, and I thought that would really bode well for my whole image. I like these kind of envelopes that have the straight back flap, you know, the ones that aren't pointed. I like them better, I think, than the pointed ones. Oh, kind of missed my spot. And then on the front, there's that. And I want to tell you one more thing before I go. I showed you in my stamp cleaning video that I got this absorber that's for my husband's car to clean it, and I got it at Walmart. It's a huge piece, and I just cut a little piece off of it. And then I have this Rub It Scrub It pad in here from Tim Holtz that if I need to, you know, if I'm using some harsh inks, I can use that on it. But this has really worked well for me. I just kind of wipe that across the inks off of the you know, the stamp, and if I want to, I go across it with this, and I spray a little bit of my handmade stamp cleaner in there, and it works really good. This is so far my favorite cleaning method for stamps because it's right on my desk, it's handy, I have everything I need to do the whole cleanup in case I do have, you know, a bigger mess. I have that, and then it doesn't leave any fuzz on anything, which is great. And then I leave it open this much so air can get in, because otherwise it can get yucky if it doesn't have air reaching it. So that is an update on my stamp cleaning video, and I thought you'd appreciate that. I hope you enjoyed this video, that you'll give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Please tell your friends about me on social media because you know I love that. And thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.